Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to your November 2022 reading. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and it's really great to see you. Today, I got so many messages coming through in spirit that I think we're going to have a really exciting session today. A lot's coming through, so my goal is always to really set you up with what you need to navigate, and you're going to get more than enough today. If you're brand new, let me talk a little bit about the format. I always like to begin with the channeled messages, and today a big component of that came directly from dreams, and the rest came through meditation, so more on that in a second. After we get through the channel messages, then we're going to take a look at the Celtic Cross, and once we see the general spread of information, then I'll expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. To make sure that you never miss one of my readings, please take a moment. If you're brand new, hit that subscribe button. Even if you've been a long-time viewer and you've never done that, please do hit the subscribe. You can also like, opt into notifications as well, and then leave a comment below. All of this helps with engagement, and I appreciate it, so thank you. Please follow me across social media as well, as each and every day that I do a live video, I also will post a reminder across social media. So it's another way to make sure that you don't miss something. I know YouTube's notifications don't always go out. Remember that the only way to connect with me is live here. I don't use chat or direct messages. I don't offer private readings. So that's just a note to stay safe. And finally, if you would like to give back and show support, it's optional, but it helps. You can give super stickers, super chat, become a member, or gift a membership, and it's all available right here in the live chat. So thank you in advance. And there's also a super thanks on replay. Okay, let's get into the channeled messages for today. I had so many dreams last night that I had a hard time. So I kept waking up. I had a hard time sleeping through the night because there was a lot of messages. That just means that we have a lot to talk about today. And hopefully I can be of a lot of assistance here. So let me scoot over and we're going to talk about all the different messages. The first thing that I saw and connected with was really this sort of directional energy, which is summed up by the compass. Then I also got very specific information on contracts. And I don't always see money or numbers in my dreams, but I did get numbers with respect to compensation. So these are very specific messages, and I look forward to hopefully helping some of you because it seemed like some of you needed these specific messages. We'll start off first with the compass. So I think that the big opportunity as you step into the month of November, and even here in the final weeks of October, is to sort of figure out what direction you want to head into. We're heading towards the end of this year, and far in advance, actually, even of New Year's, I think this is the time to really set the intention for what the next year is going to look like. Because as you wrap up 2022, you can make sure that it's tidy, that there's no loose ends, and that if there's anything that's sort of like an albatross or an anchor that's weighing you down, this is the moment that you can say, enough is enough, right? Some fun facts about compasses, because when I was thinking of directional energy, that was the main thing that came through, plus the North Star here. But the compass is cool because it's been around for a while, but it hasn't always been used for the purpose of a compass. We'll talk about this. First, let's talk about the compass, then I'll talk about its uses. So, of course, simply put, a compass consists of a magnetic needle that's allowed to rotate so it lines up with one of the magnetic fields of the Earth, north or south. If you're up in the North Pole, it's going to actually align to the south so that you're not pointing to where you're at. But most of us, it aligns to the north. The north on a compass isn't true north because the geographic north is shifted a bit. So there is something called, variation or declination. I hope I said that correctly. And it basically varies based on your location on the Earth. And the closer you are to the equator, I guess the more accurate it is, the more you get closer to the poles, the more that's going to shift a bit. What this really reminds you is that one size does not fit all when it comes to what makes you happy, what's right for you, what's going to constitute your success. And basically, this is sort of an encouragement for you to find your own North Star. And that's why I put the star here. Because each and every one of us is on our own path, our own curriculum. We come to this planet to learn about ourselves and also learn about the universe and become stronger, more powerful, more informed. But that means that what works for you isn't going to work the same way for someone else. And I think that's one of the the biggest gifts that we can give to ourselves, because our parents don't always know that, our teachers don't always know that, the, society at large would just be happy if you fit into a cookie cutter version of what they want. And so I would say the big thing that you can realize right now is that you're breaking through the molds. Every single sign this month has had really transformative messages. In more than one of the Celtic Crosses this month, I've been seeing the Tower pop up as well. So this is a time to really shake and break and make something new in your life. You don't have to stand still anymore. And again, your North Star is going to be different than someone else's North Star. And it's a time for you to just step into that boldness, okay? So I think the compass was actually a beautiful metaphor for all of that. So this is the fun part. Chinese were one of the first societies that kind of like developed the compass, and they weren't necessarily using it just for navigation. It was also used for feng shui, for understanding which direction certain things should be pointing, etc. And when I look at feng shui in general, it's about clearing and organizing spaces. And I'm actually a fan of the tower when it pops up, depending on where it's at, because it's a wake-up call, like this isn't working, or this could be arranged better. So if there is something messy in your life, that should be priority one. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't hope that it will get better. Put your main focus into understanding, clearing, navigating, rebuilding. And that's really where the energy should be focused. So take two notes from the compass. One is that one size doesn't fit all. One strategy isn't going to work for everybody. So you follow what works for you. You be your own North Star. And if something's messy, if something needs to be worked on in your life, use that internal compass. Use your North Star to decide what you're going to change, what you're going to move through, and kind of roll up your sleeves, get busy, and don't worry about the mess that might be in front of you. It's actually a blessing in disguise, okay? What I mentioned here in the final couple of bullets here, it's a good time for decluttering, for organizing, for clearing the environment around you. The same thing comes to mind when you're looking at your schedule, the appointments that you're keeping with people, so your relationships, what you're thinking about, so meditation, your mind, your diet. Meditation in general is going to be a really good thing to help you find that clarity, okay? Let's move on to the next slide. This was super specific, so we're going to move away from the compass and we're going to look at contracts now. So what the universe showed me was the equivalent of like an arranged marriage or a forced contract. And I could see two people, it's kind of like an assignment that teachers make where they put the two most likely to disagree people together, or if you watch reality television, they try to find people that are just polar opposites, right? Speaking of the North and South poles, they're trying to find people where drama and chaos will ensue. So what I want you to look at is if you feel like something is good on paper, but you're looking at the environment or you're looking at some pieces that you know that are going to bother you in the long run, deal with them now and really sort out if the good outweighs the bad. Don't get into a contract where you know from the beginning that it's just not satisfactory. If someone tries to force you to partner up, to get along, to do something with someone, and it's not meant to be, you don't have to do that at the end of the day. If you're in school, or I guess if you're at work, there might be certain things that you have to navigate. But in life in general, this is your chance to sort of speak up and say, I think this is going to be a hard pass on that. I'm going to focus on something else. Or if this is the only way to do it, this isn't the right combination. So I saw like an oil and water sort of mix that isn't advisable. It also felt binding to me. And so I think it's really important for you to avoid, this is for those of you that might be creative, or maybe you're an athlete or an actor, and you're signing a contract that either gives away intellectual property, time in your life, certain rights. Again, for artists, it could be different publication rights, etc. If it's too restrictive, hard pass on that as well. It would be better to wait for a better connection than to have something come through, but then lose your ability then to control it or profit off of it in the future. I think you're going to be able to navigate it. Part of the reason is you're tuning into me, and you're going to realize that if it's too good to be true, or if it's not good enough for you, one extreme or the other, it's better to wait. okay? Hold your ground. Don't sign something you don't understand, you don't agree with, or you just don't feel good about, okay? There's something better in the long run. Let's cut the strings. There shouldn't be all of these sort of stipulations. And at the end of the day, the Devil card can be transmuted with honesty, transparency, and just clear communication. One thing that I was tuning into that almost never happens, but happened today, was a number. And so what this means is that for some of you, you may have an opportunity to get a discount or get a surplus. It depends on how this negotiation works. So for some of you, you may be trying to buy something and you feel like the price is too high. What I was shown is that you may be able to negotiate 30% less. If you are working really hard, not getting enough, the same thing works the other way, up to 30% more, or you could set the negotiation at that level and you might come closer to the middle of that. Maybe you're going to get 15% or 20% instead. But 30 was the magic number. So whether it's 30,000, 30%, or if we looked at it as sort of like a 70-30 split, which could also bring us to like the Seven of Pentacles, which again is telling you not to overextend or telling you to try to really fight for what's important. It all kind of slices out as even here. So fight for it. This is your chance to get what you deserve and to be on the winning side of the negotiation. Either you're going to get a discount or you're going to get what you deserve when it comes to compensation. Okay? Very clear, very unusual for me to get an exact number for you. And again, this is going to be more specifically for people that are buying, negotiating, or looking to find balance in their books somewhere. And that's the percentage that came through. But overall, we can still look at the Justice card as fighting for what's right and trying to find better balance in your life. All right, let's look at the final card and then we'll get into the Celtic Cross. I want to encourage all of you to embrace the inner rebel and to have this sort of rebel with a cause. And your power this month is in speaking up, making waves, and causing change. You don't want to sit by idly. You can get whatever you want, but it involves creating a bit of noise. I chose the Strength card here because there is a need for you to feel like you can sit at the table with with the big kids, with the popular people. And if you need to hold your ground and say, wait a second, I haven't finished, or let me add my thoughts to that, she's willing to do that. She's willing to stop someone from saying that. So that's why I featured Strength here. It's specifically going to be in communication. And I've already used the Tower, and the Fool doesn't quite have the strength that I was looking for. So I thought the card here that really is going to show the ability to create that initial movement would be the Strength card. So you have the power, you have the position or the opportunity. It's really a matter of, are you going to go there? And I hope you will, because it feels like really what's opening up this month is a chance to shift everything in a positive trajectory for you. And that's, who can ask for anything more, right? Let's go ahead now and move into the Celtic Cross portion. This is going to, again, help you navigate through the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to pull out all of the cards and then we'll break it down section by section and look at what's going on. Good to see everybody today. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. These are a little glossy, so don't worry. You'll have a chance to see all of them. It's just the center ones that are going to be a little difficult to see. But I like this deck, and it's worth dealing with the glare on it. Let's go ahead and just focus on the desk alone so you can see everything. Zoom out just a bit. Cool. What a gorgeous Seven of Cups. Yeah, you're like most signs this month. I've seen the Tower come through time and again. So this definitely is a big month for shifting, for moving, for changing. We got a volunteer card. I'm going to also pull a second one just because. Okay. Speaking of the compass, we're going to start off with the catalyst card, and wow, what a gorgeous catalyst. We have agape. There's really no upside down with this particular card because you have the same number, you have the same word in every particular orientation. So agape is encouraging you to realign, to put spirituality, to put higher purpose, to put love with a capital L as your centerpiece for this month. Rather than worrying about external validation, rather than worrying about how you stack up against other people or anything that gets into our head normally, it's saying, no, let's get to the big picture, the big purpose, and really making sure that you are realigning to why you came here in this lifetime, in this incarnation. And I don't think many of us do that on a day-to-day basis. We may be focusing on, why can't I find this? Why can't I find love? How can I find more money? What can I do to get ahead here? But the universe is coming through to say there's a much bigger purpose and a much bigger rhyme and reason. And when we start to see the North Star, the true north in our own compass, all the other stuff starts to come in alignment. It becomes easier. This is also encouraging you to unconditionally love yourself, unconditionally love others, and to find the spiritual practice that works for you. What is it that gets you excited about getting up in the morning? What is it that you're passionate about? What is the glue and the cohesive thing in your life that makes it all worth the work, the struggle, the initiation, which is also what agape can represent, a spiritual initiation or awakening. It's one that isn't necessarily as difficult as like a Kundalini one. This is more of like, I have this epiphany or this aha moment. So this is a powerful month for you. And let's kind of take a look now at your center cards and see what we can do to really empower you for this period of time and get you on that path of spiritual enlightenment, or again, finding your compass, finding your organizational north. All right, at the center, we have the Ace of Swords, and it's being crossed by the Six of Cups. The Ace of Swords is indicated with this beautiful snail's shell that reminds me of the golden mean. And if I look at the center of that, we actually see a keyhole. Can you see that? The golden mean is sort of like this, it's in between. You don't have to go to the extremes. It's also showing that everything in the universe has this sort of cosmic plan. You can put this over top of flowers. You can put them over top of seashells, spiral galaxies. There is a pattern that keeps reappearing in mathematics and in nature, and it's what we see here. We can see the cosmos in there too. So what this is saying is you hold the key. I love that this Ace of Swords is almost combining a little bit of the major arcana, the Hierophant. In a traditional Hierophant card, I'm going to pull it while we're talking, but you will see a teacher, usually illustrated by like a papal figure, and then two disciples, and the keys are crossing his feet. And in this card, it's saying, in this moment in time, you've sort of moved past the teacher. You've also moved past the lesson. And all you have to do is realize that you hold the key to your happiness. You hold the key to being able to make change happen in your life. And it's something that I think we all realize at one point. Here we go. It usually happens later in our life, but it doesn't have to. It can happen right now for you if you'd like to. So there are the keys. Here's the teacher or the gatekeeper. Here's the disciples. Ostensibly, this is you as one of the disciples taking that key and saying, I'm going to use this like a sword. I'm going to move forward, take action, and use my knowledge, put it to practice. You have a rich store of knowledge, not just from this life, but from many lives. He's wearing a cloak that looks like a sort of like a nebula, a galactic cloak. And this seashell has all of these stars in it. So we see this ancient store of knowledge within you. If you're watching my channel, you've lived many lifetimes before and you're starting to wake up to that. Because I take deep dives. I don't just do a quick overview of things. I really go deep, at least in these monthly and weekly videos. So this is your chance to understand that you have the capacity to do it. Even if you don't know how it's all going to work, this is basically just saying you're going to take a leap of faith based on your own trust of yourself. Somewhere in this life or in others, you've figured out a way. The key exists within you. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do this month to take action or make progress? When you understand that you shouldn't, can't, or don't need to wait for someone else's permission or signal to move forward. It's very empowering. And at some point in your life, you're going to live long enough to see a lot of the gatekeepers move on, pass away, or exit stage left, right? Or stage right. And you're the one that's in the center. So this is your chance to do it before that happens naturally, because you can save yourself time, heartache, disappointment by just doing what you're supposed to do and taking action now. This is a very active card, and it's very much in the moment, and it's saying not next week, not next year, not next month, whatever. It's now. So in this moment, take the key and do something today. We have a connection card on top of this. The Six of Cups is showing that you are more than likely than not, you have someone in your life that can share in this moment. They can support you. It's probably a contemporary. Six of Cups is youthful. It's also a connection to siblings, best friends, someone from the past, someone who's known you for a long time. So it doesn't have to be biological, familial, or in marriage. It's better sometimes if it's just a best friend. But I see someone in your life that can be that supportive person that will help you get your idea off the ground. And that's what we're really seeing with all of these balloons here, is that you have a chance to take something to a higher level. Now, for those of you that have always been pining for either an opportunity that's passed you by, or wondering, like, what if I had talked to this person? What if I told them how I felt? This is also a reoccurrence of that. Either the same person or opportunity, or a sort of facsimile of that, where this time you get to say or do what you were meant to. So we put these two together. This is saying take action, and we see a positive outcome. We see a celebration. We see a completion of a cycle right here, front and center. So Sagittarius, this is going to be a very powerful month. This is about opening a door. You hold the key. And that's probably going to be something like what I put in the title here. You hold the key to your own success, to your own destiny, to making this change happen. And so the responsibility, the impetus, the sort of all of this sits in your lap, and it's just more a matter of when, not if, you're going to do something about it. Let's look at your deep past. This is why it's so imminent, why there's such urgency. That was the other word. Urgency or immediacy. That's what I'm picking up on here. So we have death reversed. Death reversed is saying, I am now through the cycle. I'm tired of stagnation and I'm ready to grow. This is one of the most beautiful death cards, right? We see someone looking beyond the veil, looking beyond the illusion, and saying, when one thing ends, something else begins. We can see all these floral energies coming through, and it looks like we have a butterfly there too. So we have a beautiful butterfly there. She's looking towards change and movement. That's all death is, by the way. Death is not something to be feared. I believe, I wrote a book a few years ago, and one of my main characters was transformation or death. But I think that this would be the lovely energy that would be here to usher us in and out of our lives. It's the gatekeeper, basically, or the person that stands at the nexus of ends and beginnings. So it's always showing you one more thing or what's coming next. And it doesn't have to indicate the end of a life. What it can indicate in a spread is an end of an era or a part of you. And for some of you, an end of frustration or an end of stagnation. So look at your life and see, where is it that you are frustrated? Where do you want to see growth? This would be the one single point that I would focus on the most. So again, we saw higher purpose and higher love and spiritual connectivity with agape. We see that makes a lot of sense now, because from the Hierophant keys here, we see now you are carrying that as an Ace of Swords, and you're going to take action. There is a second chance at love or accomplishing something. We see a person connected to that as well. And we see a chance to overcome, release, or reimagine something in your life. The cycle is over. By the way, I wasn't even looking at this here because these cards are so radically different, but this is the Hierophant, so that makes sense. And it makes even more sense that we took the key and put it in that Ace of Swords, but we're missing the keys here, so it's important to look at traditional Rider-Waite-Smith cards in addition to this. So this card, this Hierophant, is more connected to the sort of companion that we would see with Athena, which is about knowledge and movement of the knowledge. So the owl is often seen with Pallas Athena, And when I look at the owl, I'm not only seeing ancient wisdom, but I'm also seeing, I think it might be an apex predator, but it's pretty high at the top of its food chain. And it's also something that moves energy. So rather than just being still, an owl goes out, it hunts, it sees things that others can't, and it applies its knowledge. And so the question that this Hierophant card is kind of imparting upon you or putting upon you is basically, what are you going to do with the knowledge, with the decision, with the inspiration that you have next? Hopefully you're going to take the key and do something with it, right? So these cards were perfectly set side by side because this is such a radically reimagined deck. That's why I always keep the Rider-Waite-Smith here. We can reference the Hierophant, and now we understand why the key is at the center here. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at your crowning card. This is a month to celebrate the big and the little successes. Sometimes we focus just on, those milestone moments, whether it's marriage or graduation or accomplishing or achieving some sort of an award or having a milestone birthday. But you can recognize the small things, getting through a difficult health situation, being able to make some sort of a deadline that you didn't think you were going to make, or basically just to surprise someone in your life, whatever it is. Every day there's a blessing, right? And you can think about one thing today to give thanks or gratitude for. And this is like the sunny side of the street card, the Nine of Cups. There is light and joy and passion in every day if we look hard enough, okay? The only thing with the Nine of Cups is sometimes we're focused so much on the positive that we overlook a trigger, an emotional trigger, something that is painful or negative that needs to be dealt with. And so you want to always be aware of that. But since this card is upright, I really do think for this month in general, it's saying try to find the positive, try to focus on that. And remember that life is a series of ups and downs. We're always going to be navigating our way between those two extremes. So, make the most of every moment and don't give too much weight to the punctuated highs or the punctuated lows. They do not basically dictate how every other day is going to be. Most of the time is in the middle, and you'll find your way back to center or neutral. So focus on that as well. All right, let's move into near future and see what the message is here. We have the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups is a change in direction, a change in perspective. We see someone here looking at what is lost, but also holding on to what is found, what is still possible. And this reminds me of what you would see a king or a queen holding on to in cups or in wands or in any suit. They're usually holding on to a staff. And from that is their own power, their own growth. It's interesting that we have cups, but we have this sort of wand-like energy here. So this is saying from the pain, from the difficulty, from the experience comes something new, comes growth, comes a new idea of what's possible. So the Five of Cups usually shows two cups upright in the background. Here we can see two buds on this branch ready to grow. So yes, maybe there was time lost, opportunity that might have been squandered, or perspective that was shifted in a direction that may not have been optimal. But not all hope is lost. Something beautiful can come of the experience because everything in the universe is a teacher. Disappointment, bad timing, weird experiences that you just didn't expect, because sometimes those stick with you longer, right? And you won't repeat a cycle. That's definitely what came through when we looked at death and rebirth here. This is a chance to look at it from a completely different angle and say, no more of that. Been there, done that, and now I'm ready for a brand new version of me. But before we move on, we have to often mourn. So this is the change, this is the mourning, this is the realignment. And so give yourself as much time as you need to mourn, to understand, and to get into that place of peace. Because if you just hop, skip, and jump from one experience to another, you don't truly integrate. So I think that one of the necessary pieces to be successful and to get to that next level this month is to give yourself enough downtime, enough rest and relaxation to pick up on how you're feeling, what you're gauging your sort of progress to be so far. And from that, you're going to be able to discern what's next. This card also indicates a partnership that could be budding and surprising you. So we have love. Six of Cups can be love, a deep love. The Five of Cups can represent hidden opportunity or love on the horizon. It's waiting for your healing to take place first, and it's also waiting for you to turn your head. Both the Four and the Five of Cups have a hidden blessing. There's even more of a blessing in the Five of Cups, and with the Six of Cups being front and center, literally, the moment you can look beyond the perceived loss or the perceived setback, that's when the abundance steps in. It's already there, basically. That's what we see. It's already there, but you have to see it. She's looking just in the direction of this if I take it out of the glare. So she's glancing over her shoulders. All she has to do is look a little bit further, and she would see that there's love and abundance and something beautiful waiting for her. Okay? Let's take a look at what's going on in your soul, in your own energy. We have the Wheel of Fortune, and it's in reverse. This is great. I've been getting the wheel reversed many, many times for different signs this month. And what it tells me is a change in focus, a change for some of you in what you're doing for your livelihood. Also, cyclically speaking, perhaps some of you are going to make better decisions when it comes to resource management as well. Not just money, but time and energy. The card is reversed. So that means that changes don't happen overnight. A lot of times it's difficult to let go of an old habit. So this is understanding that something needs to change. This is being at the precipice of doing it. But this is sort of the block here. There are a couple of blocks here that are coming through, but ultimately it's going to be okay. We have the Fool. It is a reset month for you. So what was won't be. What seems like an end is a beginning. And you are now opening up to more abundance than you've been privy to before. So basically with this, I would say if you're willing to open your eyes, I was talking about sevens earlier, Seven of Pentacles, but Seven of Cups can be part of that too. If you open your mind to the potential, then there's more to get, there's more to grab. So we'll look at this one. This is in the environment. This is the most beautiful Seven of Cups in any deck, actually, that I've seen. So she's reaching for the stars with what looks like a magical wand. Instead of the traditional cups, we see opportunities. We see a constellation. And so with an open mind comes opportunities rushing in. And so Seven of Cups is basically an opportunity to daydream, to dream in general, to be open, to explore. And in that exploration, something really great is coming through, a download. So keep an open mind. You can also ask questions and present options to people that they hadn't thought of. And this is where the negotiation piece can come in. So rather than a obvious sort of resource with this, what we're also seeing is you pitching a project, an idea, or a reason that someone should invest more heavily in you. And then we see that coming through. But you have to believe it first. And then we see here the movement in Hope, Spheres, and Opportunity. I love a tower reversed because upright tower sometimes can be you holding on for dear life and trying to figure out what's going on. A reverse tower, we can see the person almost shaking the tree and disassembling something, basically saying, this doesn't work. I'm stuck here. I'm worth more. I now see the potential that I didn't see before. I realize the power and the opportunity. And I see people that are around me that actually also entertain or believe in that as well. I'm ready for that to take flight. And all of this creates movement and change. And I'm going to keep reaching for the stars. So yeah, this is a game changer month for you. You hold the key. Once you turn the key, big changes start to happen. Big opportunities open up across the board. Whatever you felt stuck in, we see that cycle changing for you. And then we have the Fool reversed as your outcome. What a cool card, by the way. So what is this, an alligator or crocodile here? She's at the top of this, though, and basically it's almost like what we would see in the Strength card. Being able to overcome or to basically navigate or manipulate the energy of your own power, the universal flow, and being part of that. The Fool is also stepping into the unknown, stepping into a new path of abundance. So that's what's awaiting many of you. But the Fool reverse can be a fear of a misstep, worry that maybe you're going too fast or too slow. What I got at the center when I saw that Ace of Swords is that immediacy or acting now is actually prudent. The important thing for you is to get organized in the approach. It's still a Hierophant and it's still in the recent past. So the Hierophant excels at creating a plan. So sure, you don't have to just take a leap. Get your ducks in a row and decide this is how, this is why, this is when, and then let people know. So that's all I would take your time that I would advise you to take your time doing, is to get the plan together. Once you have that business plan or that big idea together, then things will start to naturally flow in the direction that they need to. One thing that we see with this is a need. This is also clearing of the environment. We talked about the compass and feng shui, so letting go of some old stuff that doesn't suit you, whether it's people, places, or things. They've served their purpose and they're ready to exit your life. This is clearing your thoughts, and then we see you traveling more lightly with the Fool as well. So once you are unencumbered by fear, doubt, or uncertainty, that can represent the sort of what you're holding on to. It could also be personal sort of accoutrements and belongings. You're going to lighten the load energetically and also environmentally and resource-wise. Get rid of anything that is stagnating, that is creating that sort of sense of being stuck in the mud. All right, let's expand your forecast next. We're going to take a look now at the areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny, and see where additional expansion opportunities exist. As we look at health, a reminder that I am here to help you look at metaphysics and basically energetic options. If there's anything going on in your mind or body and you need help, work with the appropriate professional for that. You have a single card coming through for health. It's trade or trader, and it says exchange energy to create abundance. So this card was reversed, and it's basically a reminder to you that if something's out of balance, how much you're investing in a relationship, how much you're working, work-life balance, for instance, that's part of the reason I chose the Justice card. She's holding the scales and she's saying, fight for what matters. And this is an area where you can achieve what you're looking for. So is the exchange even between you and another? If it isn't, when you request, demand, or expect an even exchange, that person is either going to meet you and deliver, or they'll fall away and they'll sort of let you have that energy back, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at the cards and see what additional messages want to come through. Of course, we have to, again, revisit what we saw here in the deep past. Some of you may have dealt with either a place where you felt stuck. This can also be a wake-up call, a brush with death, or just a really difficult health issue that you worked through. And you're basically saying to yourself, I don't want to go through that again. It's sometimes it takes that close brush with failure or frustration, or again, maybe even a wake-up call with, close brush with death. And you say, I don't want that to happen to me. Maybe you lost someone in your life too because of their bad habits, and this isn't a repetitive cycle. You get to break the chain of whatever. This is your chance to kind of walk away from that. And this is a fresh start because we have death reversed, which is a chance to reimagine or rebirth. And then we have the Fool here. It is reversed, so it's saying there's still a little hesitation in letting go, but the minute that you do, the more you feel, good about your energy and your potential. I think the hardest thing for you right now could be comfort, or it's comfort is the best word. Comfort with change, because this is change and this is change and they're all reversed. An end of a phase, releasing the final pieces of that, and then stepping into the unknown. If we just take these three cards and pull them upright, they tell a story. And let's look at that real quick. And so again, this is something that doesn't suit you. This is the release of that. And then this is freedom that comes from releasing that cycle. And these are three of the most powerful cards in the major arcana. And what's helping you with that is this. You are going to create, and we'll look at the traditional card too. You're going to create something new that works for you. And the reminder here again with the center card is that what works for you isn't what worked for your mom, dad, or your grandparents. That's why we have the key in the hand of the ace right there. Usually aces don't have a person in them, but it is in this particular deck. And initially I didn't like that, but I kind of do as I'm starting to look at how it's playing out in a Celtic Cross. So for you, it's more a question of when are you ready to make the change? The universe has already laid it out. And the minute you accept that you are capable and that you can do this, then the sooner that everything starts to fall into place. Reset of a cycle. For some of you, though, there is a lot going on in the headspace that could also be affecting this. You could be thinking a lot about someone. This can be focusing on a person that maybe is no longer in your life. If you've broken up, divorced, or again, maybe they've transitioned into spirit. They're prominent in your thought process right now. So whether it's grieving or just really focusing on them, maybe that's something you need to talk to someone about, because that is what's holding you back from seeing this, the Two of Cups that is amidst all of the spilled cups here. So once you see that, then there is love and abundance coming through. So I'm picking up on heavy emotions because we have the Nine of Cups in the crowning position. Again, generally a good card, but it can be intense. I'm seeing change, but I'm seeing that there's something that is holding back your cognitive space from embracing the change. Once you can get past that, then there's this sort of aha moment where everything starts to come together. The message that I've said before, that it's super powerful and brief, that I hope will help you, is that life happens for you, not to you. You are a participant and co-creator, not someone that's receiving energy that you don't want. It's just a choice what to do with it. Are you going to accept it? Are you going to fight it? Are you going to flow with it? Are you going to channel something new? You are co-creating. Life happens for you and with you, not to you. Okay? So that is the big reset as we're looking at health. You have more power, you have more decision-making capability, and you have more opportunity than you may have imagined. Now that you know this, you also have the key to making the necessary healthy changes in your life. And for each of you, this ace is going to represent a different door that you're going to open. Okay? You're not alone, though. You have the community that is here right now, but you also have real people around you with the Six of Cups in everyday life that you can tap into. Look around. It's perspective shifting that is important. And if you don't see who you want, or if you're not recognizing it, then this is a time to build that community as well. All right? Beautiful messages overall. Let me see if there's anything else before we move on to wealth. I think that the Tower and the Fool cards are important when it comes to travel and everyday activities. So the Tower can indicate an accidental sort of mistake that you would make. So in walking, it could be tripping and falling. When driving, it could be distraction, and then that leads to a fender bender or something of that nature. They are avoidable issues, especially with it reversed. The Fool in reverse, same sort of thing. Jumping into something before you have all the facts or all the information. And so all of these are basically showing something that I just talked to the previous sign about, which is research and preparation. It really leads you to success and protection. It's going to help you and create some padding. If you walk into something with knowledge, you rarely are going to be caught unaware. Okay? That is everything for health. And I do think you can make some positive shifts. One last thing, actually, before we move on. Try not to overdo things. The Nine of Cups can show basically eating too much, drinking too much, working too much, or leaning too much into any sort of activity. So that isn't the answer. Moderation is key, and you want to pull back from hiding in that sort of, it's like over medication, right? Whatever your sort of go-to is. Again, caffeine, food, work, it's different for all of us, but try to give yourself the time and space to not do that and to just exist with whatever it is that you're feeling. It's going to be better, and you'll be stronger for that. Now let's move on to wealth. We have in wealth the Spirit Guardian of Autumn, which is really appropriate for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. But even with those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, we're looking at a change of season. We're in that change of season. Autumn is a time of release. And, even if you're entering into spring, it's also subtle. The movement as things fall away or start to sprout back up, it's very similar. You're not going to see everything until the season's almost over. Autumn and spring are the same way. When you're finally at that last month, it's clearly the next season, and either, you see all of the growth or everything, all the trees are empty, all the leaves are on the ground, and you're starting to feel like, wow, how did that happen? Where was I? So one thing that I'm getting here when it comes to your career, your finances, your work right now, because this is wealth, is to be as present as possible and to understand that the changes are happening, even if they're subtle, even if they're not apparent, they are happening. That's an autumnal message. This is a very spring-like message, so we have both seasons represented here. You don't notice it until the leaves have sprung and the blossoms are out, or the leaves have fallen and the branches are bare. So just because we don't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. That was something I just said for one of the one card pulls over the past week or so. So imagine the possibilities, have faith, and keep the faith when it comes to the next step, and know that before you realize it, you're going to be there. Manifestation will be right in front of you. Now let's look at the cards. So one thing that this will represent, irrespective of where you're at, is release, letting go, death, letting go, Tower, letting go, Fool, moving on. So that message is repeated here if we take the season piece out, okay? So there is something moving away, but because this is seasonal, it also tells me that it's not gone forever, or there's something better on the horizon. So there are seasons to our life, to our career, to our energy, ebbs and flows. All right, now let's look just at the cards here. The big question that the universe is asking you is, where do you stand and what do you want? Seven of Cups. It's dreaming, but it's not necessarily doing. So this is the dreaming, and this is where you're putting a lot of time and energy, but that's what your call to action is. It's right at the center. So you have an idea, figure that out, and then quickly take some action. You're not alone. Partner up with friends. Maybe some of you might partner with family, because this can be siblings, but friends and people that you trust. We see ideas taking off, taking flight. Not everything is how you plan, so be willing and ready to move with kind of like where the direction is taking you. It's even if initially you meet some friction or frustration, there's still something here really strong. I think that the important thing for some of you is to look beyond where you are. This can be a move in general. So you might need to relocate, you might need to let go or rethink an idea, let go of an idea. So sometimes the first draft is not the best draft, and sometimes the first go isn't going to be the strongest. Many artists, musicians, writers, they don't always achieve 100% success with their first book, with their first movie, with their first piece of art. It comes later because they hone their craft, basically. So give yourself, some leeway and some permission to try, to fail, to learn, to excel, because it's not everything is perfect right out of the gate. Your passion is your magnet. And we see her kind of fanning the Nine of Cups here. So people are drawn to that. That's the beautiful trait coming through, is your passion. So continue to connect with that. Continue to look at what's possible. You are good at dreaming and coming up with ideas, so keep up with that. This is a mover and a shaker. This is a rebel as well. I put the Strength card because I already had the Tower, but that's really, I wanted to put the Tower twice in that spread. So it's coming through really strong here when I was looking at channeled messages. So the Tower is also a rebel with a cause. I want to change the world, and this is how I'm going to do it. And you're presenting something new. So what makes you unique, rebellious, not fitting in is what's going to make you stand out like the star. You still need some sort of an organizational structure to it, which is why we got the Hierophant. But then it has to take flight. You can't be overly rigid. You just want that starting sort of like formation, and then from there you're going to allow the universe to take you on some twists and turns. I think that the main thing here for many of you is to make sure that you're not overextending, that you ask for more if you need more, and that if you're feeling like there is a glass ceiling or a limit, this is a time to move up, move out, move on. This should not constrain you anymore. So I do think for many of you, you might be looking to leave a job. For some of you, you might have this really big idea, but it needs another partner or another person in to ground it. And ultimately, though, I told you, you can get more than what you anticipated. So this card can indicate that as well. You just have to do some editing or some moving around a little bit to bring that into focus here. And then letting go is also birthing, by the way. So if you've been holding on to something for too long or for a very long time, this is encouraging you to just say, all right, I've done what I can. Let's let that go. Let's focus on to the next piece in my life. All right. Now let's look at love and relationships. We have earth and ground. This is going to actually help you possibly with the wealth card. And for those of you that are partnering up with a person in business, they may be that complement because you have a lot of energy this month that is emotional and cognitive. This is a card that helps center, ground, and bring that into the next level. So even though I normally look at this as, love, I would say before we even look at love, one thing that's coming through is that in the realm of business partnerships, this could be advantageous. Someone could help you open the door or help you find that sort of focus that you might be lacking. So this is a good month with respect to business to let go of what you've done and invite someone else in for their feedback or their support. You're going to be able to take this much further by doing that. Now, let's look at this with respect to interpersonal relationships, particularly those who you love. We're going to look at those that are in a relationship looking for love or single and happy. And we're going to see how the earth and ground energy kind of connects with all of that. For those of you that are already in a relationship, let's see what's going on. Well, there's big changes, okay? So when we have Death, the Tower, and the Fool, some of you have decided it's time to move on. And that's okay. It feels like you've thought a lot about this. And for those of you that have decided to move on, it will be okay if that's what you want, if that's what you seek. Make sure that you really focus on the finances. And I was talking about contracts and money. Fight for your even connection on this, and maybe more than that if you invested more in the relationship. For those of you that want to stay in the relationship, this can represent something much different. So let's assume everything's good, but there's a lot going on with the partnership. Some of you may have lost someone that you love. The death card can represent a loss of a person or a loss of something significant, or there's a big change that happened. This can also be like retirement, right? Your kids are going off to college. So all of a sudden, the relationship dynamics have changed. You have a lot to talk about when it comes to what are you going to do? What direction are you going to take? What are we going to do about the money? Maybe you are looking at selling the house and relocating. I still see a lot to love in this situation. I think that there's a little bit of grieving that has to be done for that old chapter, that old part of your life, but there's excitement here. The Fool card can be really engaging. It's a brand new path that the two of you can engage on together. It can be the Six of Cups walking that path of the Fool together if you want to. But the biggest challenge in all relationships this month is figuring out if you're ready, because this is looking at what was and not necessarily paying attention to what is or what can be. So if the relationship's ending and you're looking at the new phase, there's a little bit of reflection. How did I get here? Could I have changed anything? And it looks like you're focusing on that first. For those of you that are together and you want to stay together, but you want to make a change together, there's some friction over moving into that next zone because one or both of you are attached to how comfortable it was. Change can be scary. Change is unknown. And so what you really want to focus on there is partnering up and saying, but change can also bring us to great new heights and new experiences and express love for one another and reassurance that it's going to be okay and that the partner is not alone on this path to something new. So I think that's the main thing is reassurance, communication. Talk about your hopes and fears, obviously. Definitely talk about money. Money came through in my channeled messages. So for some of you, you may be looking at this and saying, well, before we can make that final move or shift or before I retire, we need this percentage more or something like that. So definitely talk about that if that's something that's important. Overall, I like what I see, and I think that whether you're staying or going, you're going to end up with this sense of liberation and a fresh start. So couldn't ask for a better card on the final outcome. Let's go ahead now and focus for those of you that are looking for love. I think it's a tough time right now to try to bring in love in your life because what I'm seeing right now is your mind is occupied on other things with the Seven of Cups. It looks like environmentally or organizationally, there's a lot moving, just like Apollo behind me. There's a lot of movement and that can be distracting. Some of you are still mourning the loss of someone or something. So clear your mind, clear your space, clear your energy. Just what we were talking about in the channel messages, it's all coming through here. Once you've done that, this can be karmic relationships. So death, when I'm looking at love, can be someone from the past. The Six of Cups is deepening that connection, because this alone, this or the star alone, would also be karmic relationships. The person coming into your life can be chaotic. It can also be really amazing. But in order to be able to hold this sort of karmic relationship, you have to have your life together. So getting clear, organized, and now we understand it, grounded is going to be super important, because when that life-changing relationship comes in, if you're looking to manifest love, it's a big love, it's a big personality, you've got to be steady, or it's going to be something that just you're not going to be ready for. Okay, so I'm definitely getting karmic energy with respect to new relationships sooner than later. And I think the main thing here is to focus on imagining, like, what is it you're looking for? The universe is always asking with Seven of Cups, what do you want? That's a little bit vague. So be clear, and then also be open to receiving here and now. Because of the immediacy of that center card, here and now is definitely possible. The other person energetically is looking to you without even knowing that you exist, and sort of saying the same thing. Where is that person? So if you are ready to receive, they're ready to receive. You both have keys. You both are looking at the door. Who's going to open it first? Okay. As soon as you open your mind, that person can come walking through. That's what I'm basically getting here. Deep connection, very deep connection with both Death, Tower, and Fool, or all three of those rather, and Six of Cups. It's an old soul. The Hierophant, even though I like that we have like a youthful girl here on the tree here. So this person that's coming in may kind of not like look like they have this ancient store of energy and knowledge, and that you have this deep past together, but you do. So I see an old soul and a youthful or playful sort of energy. Same thing with the Fool here. This is the wise fool. It's a sophomore. It's not the fool. It's the second or third time around that you guys are trying this. And I think this time it's going to stick if you're ready. But you have to have your head on straight. You have to have your life together. And definitely when we're looking at finances, get that organized as well. Before we move on to the next piece, for those of you that are single and happy, it's the best time to be that, I believe, because what we're looking at, the biggest opportunity for you, it looks like your mind is really on personal development, career growth. All of that is very much supported by this. You may wish to travel a little bit, or you might want to move. That's also supported. You have a chance to try a lot of different opportunities or different things in front of you. It's almost like you're in a fitting room and trying on different personas. So be as open-minded as you can right now. And do get out there and meet people, though. The Six of Cups is a networking card. One of those networking folks may have the key that will open up the door to a new job, a new traveling opportunity, or maybe even love in the future, if that's something that you do open yourself up to. Okay? We got two cards for the next portion of the reading. Let's look at the one that is, well, actually, I'll look at the volunteer first. So this is the one that flew out of the deck. Since it fell on its side, we'll just read it in the upright position. The Druid card reads, hold the space. To me, the Druid is the magician or the high priestess. It's connected to inner knowing, and it's a channel card. So for you to be able to allow for a change to come in, you have to be comfortable with the space in between. So if we look in outer space, most of the distance between planets, stars, and satellites, it's just that. There's a lot of openness. We look up and we just see the little dots of light, but there's a lot of space between the matter, between the energy, and it gives us context. So just because you're in an area of your life where you don't see something, that doesn't mean that you're not on your way to a bright, brilliant star moment. So hold the space for creation, hold the space for things to travel into your life, and realize that you're also, I keep saying this, you're co-creating. Druids, magicians, high priestesses, witches, whatever you want to call them in any of the different decks, they are the creators. They are the manifestors. They are the ones that are realizing their magic. So hold space and do something with that. It's always night before the day comes. So just because the sun isn't in the sky doesn't mean that it won't come up in a few hours, okay? Now we have the card that I picked, which is going to help you with that space, and it says Medicine Guardian. Be open to healing information. If you've been through a really difficult period in your life right now, again, maybe it's not just one thing. Maybe there's been a bunch of death and rebirth moments, a change of job, a change of relationship, and maybe a loss of someone in your life that you care about. That's a lot. And we do have moments in our life where it just feels like when it rains, it pours. But that's because the universe really wants to radically clear out everything for you. so that you have the clean slate. So don't panic. Instead say, all right, thank you for clearing things. I'm now ready to receive all of that abundance in the highest forms, and I'm not losing hope or faith or clarity. My mental clarity has to stay intact. I can't start to go into the negative or into the dark space. I have to focus on co-creating, being very present. And it's okay to give a moment or two to be grumpy, but then I'm going to also look at what can I do about it? What am I going to do to empower my purpose and my path? This is also a call to action when it comes to just general health and well-being. What are you doing to heal yourself? Are you someone who always takes care of someone else? Always holds up the fort, always cleans up the messes, basically. What are you doing to make sure that your mind, body, and spirit is clear, is supported, and is healing? Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because with the 2 center cards, this is call and this is answer. The key is opening the door. We see the 6 of Cups coming through. So even if you don't see it right now, I see someone or something or some resource coming rushing in as soon as you open up your heart, open up your mind, open up the door. So powerful today, by the way, Sagittarius. I'm very excited to look at the next portion here. We're going to take a look at the big idea. The big idea can kind of help us with the next level. All right, so we know that there's some shifts. So we know that there's the key that you hold. What are you going to do about this? How can you open up the key? That's really what I want to look at with the big idea. What's the key opening moment? So let's kind of see what that's about here. 3 of Cups. Definitely availability of new people and new blood and a breath of fresh air as well here. So we have the 3 of Cups, and this can be celebration, new love. It can be trying something new as well. The thing with the 3 of Cups is it's not a permanent sort of thing. Not yet anyway. It's saying before I commit, we talked about the contractual energy and the devil energy. Before I commit to something, let me try it out. Let me try out this relationship. Let me try out this job. Let me check out the different living situations, whatever it is. There's a trial period that I'm getting here with this as well. New love, new friendship, and new engagements. Say yes to invitations. And the interesting thing with this is it's not reversed, so I'm not really getting anything cautionary about the 3 of Cups. I would just say be open to new sort of connections in your life, even if you have this expectation that maybe the door is closed on certain things, like I have enough friends, or I'm not ready to love, or I just don't need any more people. There's something new coming in, and it might be worth exploring, so see where that takes you. Again, it could be work, friendship, or love, and it might be an intermixing of all of these things, but right now I see something new that wants to knock on the door, and I think that's great because after looking at Death, the Tower, and what else was there? The Fool card, and there's a lot of moving and shifting and falling away, so of course something new would come in. Where there's ends, there's beginnings, and that's the big message there with that. But again, it's up to you to sort of decide, do I want to engage? Discernment is your key here. You're either going to like or not like whatever the universe is sending. If you don't like it, be more specific, and that's why we have the 7 of Cups here. You don't have to say yes to anything that doesn't suit you or isn't energetically right for you. Okay. Now let's take a look at blessings and blocks, things that are going to make this month much easier and maybe potentially more challenging. So let's take a look at both of those, and we'll see what the energy has to say here. So your blessing card is the 7 of Pentacles. So we do get the 7 of Pentacles. And your block card is the 6 of Swords. All right, let's begin with your blessing card, the 7 of Pentacles. Just to go back to what I was talking about way at the beginning, I mentioned that I got a very specific message around numbers. And I called out in this slide that I was shown 30%, but we could look at that also as, subtracting 3 from 10, which would also be the 7 of Pentacles, because you can put it at either way. So in the case of the 7 of Pentacles, which did show up, this is about realizing what your limits are and understanding that there are no shortcuts, that it takes time to reap the rewards or to get the fruits of your labor. And we see that it's totally worth it. This person is at the top of this tree, and they're not as grumpy as the 7 of Pentacles would normally be. Let's just pull the traditional card while I'm talking for reference. But basically what happens typically in a 7 of Pentacles card is there is a need, a frustration, or a desire for time to go faster, for things to be more than they are. And the big lesson from the universe is that it takes time for things to basically get to what we would see in the 9 of Pentacles or the 10 of Pentacles. You don't want to rush growth or healing. And one of your big messages, as we looked at the Destiny card, was about healing. So here's the traditional 7 of Pentacles. We were looking at Destiny, and it basically was showing open up to healing information. And this is basically saying you're on the right path. You're nearly at the top here. So don't harvest something before it's ready. So if you pluck that apple before it's ripe, it's going to taste bitter. If you try to shortcut something, you may end up costing yourself more time, and it's going to take longer to get done. So that's the main message here, is understanding and incorporating that lesson. And since you know that, you're not going to fall into the trap of doing something too quickly, promising too much, getting yourself basically in a situation that's a little bit sticky. This, in an upright position in a blessing context, also just signifies healing and growth. It always carries with it the caution of not overdoing it, but at the core of what's going on right now, you are healing, things are growing, things are moving in the right direction. Don't push it, don't stretch it, don't overcommit, and you'll be okay. The block for some of you could be that the person that you're with is disconnected, that there's so much movement in your life that you're having a hard time focusing, or that you are traveling so much that you don't feel like you can put your anchor down somewhere. This is a really cool card where we see the star and the anchor and the clouds and all of this. So for some of you, you need to find a place where you can call home. And the 6 of Swords is very much a vagabond or sort of like a tumbleweed energy. Just a reminder that when we looked at the area of relationships, we saw earth and ground. Home isn't always a physical setting. Home can be the person that you're with, the family, the friendship, that connection. Home is a state of mind. This is something that I've learned as I've been going from place to place over the past few months, looking for my apartment that I'll eventually be in. But right now I'm in an Airbnb, and home is having Apollo right behind me. Home is connecting with all of you. Home is just being a part of this world. It's not the 4 walls and the roof above us. So know that even when you're in transition, for those of you that might be leaving a relationship in between 2 places, in between 2 jobs, you haven't lost who you are. Home takes different shapes and forms, and home is here. Okay? So I think that's the powerful message with this, is that you can find that anchor anywhere. And that is why the Fool is actually your outcome card. The Fool travels very lightly if we look at the traditional Fool. All he or she has is a knapsack. And basically they're looking forward to whatever comes next. They are not worried, bothered, or concerned with the fact that it's not all in front of them just yet. Because the best is yet to come, and I do believe that for you. And I think that when you let go of trying to put too much energy into people, places, status, things, all of that, then that's when you truly are free. And that's what we see here with the Fool card. So home is a state of mind, and you are capable of thriving anywhere. And this is a moment for you really to move with that energetic flow. And that's how you can transmute that energy of the 6 of Swords in the block. Okay? Really beautiful. Let's go ahead now and move on to the reader's choice. As you know, if you watch this channel, I always like to go to the difficult areas or the most challenging things. The first thing that's coming through for me is the Death card. I want to see, where is the stagnation? What might you be holding on to? What do you need to release? Because we did get that message around letting go and opening up to healing. So let's see what's coming through for that. So we have letting go and healing. What is it that you need to let go of? Where is the healing that wants to come through? So that's the first reader's choice. And we have Judgment. What a powerful card this one is too. So the Judgment card upright is basically saying, this is your chance to reinvent yourself. You are only limited by your own thoughts, dreams, or imagination. And Judgment is the universe waiting to see, like, what do you want? What are you ready for? And do you believe in second chances and this sort of rebirthing energy? So the traditional card, you would actually not just see the angel of transformation there, or Gabriel, but you would also see souls rising from the dead. Here we go. representing not an end, but a beginning. So this is the traditional card. With this one, again, it's usually Gabriel here, but this is basically you speaking up and saying, this is what I want. This is what's next. Yes, I believe it's possible. And the way to transmute this is to see this as a gateway. And you are on a rebound right now is what I see. But the rebound is held back by either disbelief or maybe kind of like hanging on to something that feels comfortable, disbelief or fear. So when you let go of the fear and when you open up to the possibilities, like those souls, you'll rise up, or like a phoenix from the ashes, you'll rise up. You'll be just as strong, if not stronger than before. Let's see what the second question is that I can look at for you. How to turn a new leaf. So the Fool card is the outcome. It seems like the natural thing to look at. This was deep past, this is the outcome. So how can you turn that new corner in your life? I actually had a card that just flipped out. So we're going to read that one. Knight of Swords reverse. It just literally flipped out of the deck. So what I love about this is we see the feather, and we also see like the pen, which would normally be the sword. So this is about putting it down into words and also deciding to follow through, to talk the talk and walk the walk. And we see it being easier than you think. Sometimes we build something up in our head that it's going to be really hard. We worry about a conversation. We'll walk through the dialogue that we think someone's going to have with us, and then the dialogue is nothing like that. I can think of multiple situations in my life where I was completely gobsmacked or surprised by how simple the conversation was. All I had to do is say, this is what I want, or this is what I don't want. And sometimes the person just said, okay. And I thought to myself, wait, did I just get what I asked for? Or was that just, that was really easy? A big part of this is because you did all of the energetic work in the pre-work. If you were going through all of this, thinking of all the outcomes, they're picking up on that. They can see how organized, premeditated, and ready you are for this situation. But open yourself up to it being easier than you thought. That it could be as light as a feather, this conversation. And this is also saying bring some lighter energy, some levity, some positivity into the exchange. And if you do that, then this new thing that you're entering into might be better. Even if it's a contract negotiation, we talked about that. You might get all that you asked for and then some. At the very least, you're going to get a little bit more than you thought. Or you can get released from it, because judgment is also about making sure that things are right and that you're doing what's right and you're standing up for what you believe in. But anyway, what we see here with the Knight of Swords reversed is walking the walk, talking the talk, being direct, taking a lighter point of view on this, not necessarily feeling like it has to be so heavy, and being open to be surprised. Maybe it's going to be much easier than you thought it would be. And isn't that amazing when it actually is easier? So yay for that. I'm feeling very positive and again, cautiously optimistic for you as well. Now let's move into Sun, Rising, and Moon messages. If I didn't mention this earlier, you can always use this reading for any aspect of your chart, Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, etc. But I like to focus it on these three areas because as a reader, that's what I suggest you look at. I also like to tune into these messages for myself. So without further delay, let's pull 3 cards and see what's coming through. Sun, Rising, and Moon. All right. Lots of 7 energy today. All right, let's start with the Sun sign messages. So for the Sun, we have a lovely 10 of Wands. It's a really abundant card here. We have all seasons represented, some of the flowers that you would see in summer, but also the spring bulbs as well for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. So the 10 of Wands is representing abundance, graduation, and it's so interesting here. I would normally kind of put more Pentacles energy with all the flowers, but I like what I see here. It's connecting you to why you're working so hard, because oftentimes the 10 of Wands feels the pressure, feels the strain, feels the sort of like burden of completion. And this 10 of Wands is saying, yeah, but this is why you're working so hard. You're also so close to the finish line. It's on the horizon. So start to look forward to that. So here's your typical, somewhat burdened 10 of Wands, where it feels like, how can I carry this one step further? And this 10 of Wands is saying, but it's lighter than you think. It's worth it. And look at how far you've come. So that's the first message, is you're making great progress. Don't give up. Keep pushing. It's also saying, if you feel that sense of pressure or burden in your life, reach out, because you did have the 6 of Cups coming through. There are people around you. We also had the Ace of Swords, people around you who care about you. The Ace of Swords is also saying that sometimes if you don't speak up and say, this is too much, or how much further, or what should I do, that people are just waiting for you to kind of communicate. Use your communication, use your voice this month. Twice we got communication cards in a really specific way. Knight of Swords saying be direct, and the Ace of Swords saying ask and you may receive. So you have more support than you would realize. And with 10 of Wands, you can let go a little bit and still be really good. 9, 8, 7, 6, they're all good. There's really very few cards in Wands that are not positive. So you can always delegate, and you can always slide up and down the suit until you're ready to complete. But when you're at the 10, I think you're pretty close. So just get some perspective and push through, and we see really positive movement. It is a travel card. It is a moving card. And it is a card that's saying, if you want to get to the next level, it may involve reaching beyond the current boundaries around you. So different city, state, province, or country, all of that is coming through, okay? Lots of travel energy, because we got the 6 of Swords, we got the Tower, we got the Fool, we got the Death card. So this is a month where old things are going, new things are coming in, but you're really lined up for something beautiful with the 10 of Wands. Completion, graduation, accomplishment, all good stuff. Let's move on to Rising or Ascendant. This is where a decision needs to be made. So people are looking at you and wondering, where do you stand? This is how you're showing up in the world, oftentimes at work, but not just at work. It can also just be in the general public here. So the 2 of Swords, nicely illustrated here, can sometimes feel like you're in the dark. Usually we see someone blindfolded. Sometimes they're in front of a path, 2 paths rather. And there's this feeling like there's like shades of gray. It's not black and white. And that's the truth here, is that for some of you, you're not going to get the roadmap or the sort of like go ahead that you're looking for. You may have to chart this path yourself, and be cool with the fact that you're not perfect. There may be some edits, some changes, some movements that are going to have to happen here, but this is a call to action. So with the 2 of Swords, you are absolutely able and encouraged to ask for more information. One way to get out of the dark is to say, what do you mean by this? Or what do you think about this? But at the end of the day, you're going to be asked to take one of those swords and move forward and move down the path, because you hold the key. And nobody can tell you what to do. I mean, you can go into the old pathway of the Hierophant, but that gatekeeper metaphor has kind of had its day in the sun, so to speak. And so right now you're being asked to just step into a different path where you're leading the way. And with that comes accountability, with that comes risk, but also growth and a lot of opportunity. I like that we see a birdhouse here. And again, it's sort of about holding space here. Whenever you build a house like that, a bird house, or like when I was at my old apartment, I could feed the hummingbirds. And it took about a week, maybe 2 weeks, for the hummingbirds to find the feeder. But once they did, nonstop, they were there. I think the same is true of when you're feeding regular birds. It takes them a little bit of time, but once they're there, they're there. So for many of you, this is about holding space and trusting that the abundance is coming through. We did get the Wheel of Fortune here. There is a change or movement that is happening. And when that change or movement happens, you're not the only one that's realigning to it. Other people have to see it too. So give them time and space. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that you can't be it, doesn't mean that it's not happening, doesn't mean that subtle movement isn't underway. That's the message in the Ascendant. All right, let's go ahead now and move to those of you that are in Moon, in Sagittarius Moon. 7 of Wands. This is a pushy card. You can actually see it with this. A lot of times we would see the defensive stance with the person pushing back, but you can also get your way. And that's what this card is showing. We see him opening up what felt like a prison, what felt like a block. And he's basically saying, no, nobody, no thing is going to hold me back. I'm stronger than you give me credit for. It's a card of defense, strength, and sometimes pushing through something that felt like a block, that felt like it should happen faster than it was. So don't underestimate your strength. And if anybody in your life is lacking the vision to see how strong you are, it's going to be to their detriment, okay? So you have strength beyond measure. And we also see with all the tattoos and sort of like the flexing moment here is that don't be afraid to be bold, to be different, and to just own it. Own what makes you unique. That is going to also be what makes you strong and what makes you memorable, okay? So that was Sun, Rising, and Moon. Generally speaking, all of them were really good. The only one that requires a little bit of movement or work was the Rising and Ascendant, but I feel like you can absolutely shift through all of that given what we've talked about today. All right, let's just take a quick recap of what we've done. We've moved through channeled messages, Celtic Cross, the big idea, blessings and blocks, viewers and readers' choice here, and now Sun, Rising, and Moon. So now we're going to take a look at the final portion, which is the meditation, the sound bath, and the final card. Now, before I get into all of that, just a quick reminder, please, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, do that. You can opt into notifications as well. Follow me on social media if you'd like additional reminders, and if you'd like to give back, you can do that as well. Now for this final portion, let's talk about how it works. The final card is where I look at something that you want answered that I haven't had a chance to look at. This is general, so I do my best to cover everything, but we all have a very specific question from time to time that isn't going to be incorporated here. So the final card is a chance for me to answer that final question. Before we get into that, I like to meditate so that we can clear and open up to the movement, the change, and the opportunities that wanted to present themselves. As we look at the cards here, I think that the big thing we can see here is this movement from what was to what could be. And I really liked the energy of like the Judgment card coming through saying like, what do you want? And can you see yourself as a phoenix rising from the ashes? So why don't we work with the phoenix energy today? Because the phoenix always carries with it that feeling of possibilities, that you're never sort of truly down on your luck, that you always have the ability to bounce back. And I think that that will help open doors. And since the key was at the center of your spread, let's see you being able to kind of move beyond perceived limits or blocks. All right, take a moment now, close your eyes, nice deep inhale. Sigh it all out. Relax, allow your thoughts to drift, allow the energy to move around you as well. See yourself at the beginning of a new day. And as the fiery energy of the sun rises on the horizon, see the rays of light reaching out and wrapping themselves around you. Imagine that you could actually reach out and touch the energies or the ribbons of light and work with them, almost as if you were working with metal in a forge. And you could use that light and that energy to also reshape who you are, what you look like, what your path looks like. As you start to breathe in, imagine that each and every cell in your body lights up. And just like the color of my shirt, you're this beautiful, bright, yellowish white, resplendent being that you are just as you would be before you came into this life. Nothing but pure energy, and that energy is thought matter. You can do whatever you want with it. So reimagine the shape of your body, the shape of your thoughts, the shape of the world, however you would like it to be. See it moving, shaping, and changing with each breath and each step that you take. Imagine yourself in a new reality. See how it feels to be in the new you. Breathe in the possibilities. Let go of limitations here. And for the next minute or two, I'd like you to use light as a sort of painting medium. Imagine that you could take the light and paint things around you and see the new possibilities. And then at the end of this, we'll take a few deep breaths and you'll rise up just like the phoenix and take a look at the work that you've done. So imagine that you are co-creating, painting, creating this future state, and then we'll take a look after I play the singing bowl. Continue to breathe while I grab the singing bowl, and then we'll regroup afterwards. Take a moment now. Allow your thoughts to clear. Imagine that there is freedom in movement. There is freedom in the work that you've done, that you feel as light as a feather. As you move your arms side to side, just like a thunderbird or a phoenix, you can see these beautiful rays of light in the form of feathers starting to take form. And allow your thoughts to elevate you. See yourself rising above and drifting above this future creation. It could be a state of mind, it could be a relationship, it could be something physical that you're trying to manifest, but get above it and get a bird's eye view and realize now that you've moved beyond the limits of the physical world. You can now see a metaphysical creation, a future that you've already set into motion. And look back at the path that you've taken and see now that the distance between where you're at and what this is that you've created is not as long as the path that you've been on. It's closer, it's brighter, it's easier than you might have imagined it. So take one final deep breath, come back down into your physical body, allow yourself to reconnect, and take a moment here to pull this energy into where you are right here and right now. Rub your hands together, put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Slowly come back into your mind, body, and spirit here. And I'd like you to focus on the final question that you have for me. If you haven't already done so, open your eyes. Let's shuffle the cards and let's take a look at your question. We have success personified here. So this is an emphatic yes. We have the Six of Wands, a hummingbird on this card. And it's interesting that I just talked about the hummingbirds as a sort of metaphor of that Two of Swords image that came through, where just because you haven't received what you're looking for doesn't mean that something isn't picking up on the vibration. So when you build a birdhouse, when you put out a hummingbird feeder, they're not going to find it immediately. It may take a day, it may take a week, it may take a couple weeks, but eventually what you're doing, your sort of audience finds you. And that's the power in this Six of Wands. You are not chasing popularity. You're not trying to make something that people will like. You're doing something because you trust that there is an attractive quality to it, because it's true to you. It's something that you have birthed and mothered and put your energy into, and you're proud of it. And this can be you, personification of you. It can be something that you're working towards. But the reason that it works is because you believe it, because you feel it, because you breathe it. And other people see that and they're like, yeah, I'm attracted to that. That is, I can see the authenticity. I want some of that. So you are attracting the success. You're not chasing the success. So it's a yes, but do it because it feels right. Do it because you want it. Don't do it because it's popular. Don't do it because it's expected. And let your tribe find you. Let the success and the energy and the opportunity work its way to you. It takes time. Good things take time. That was the other message with the Seven of Pentacles. And that came through as well, which is there are no shortcuts. And so you want to keep focusing on allowing things to happen in the right amount of time. Ultimately, this is a good card. When we're looking at your final question. It shows success, it shows that it's within reach, but because we just talked about attracting the hummingbirds, you have to do something internally, and you have to be patient for them to come. Even if you plant flowers, it takes them a little bit of time to discover them. So the space card that we talked about earlier also is important here. When we looked at destiny, it said hold space. So this is part of the final question as well. Hold space. Do it because you feel it, and trust that others will see the value and the quality in that, and then meet you where you're at. Okay? Such a wonderful opportunity to be present with all of you today. Please, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, do that. I'd love to have you come to more of my readings if this is your first time here. So welcome to all the new folks. Special thanks to everybody that's been here before. Also, thanks to anybody that gave back. I'll try in real time to thank you, but I'm also saying right here and right now, thank you so much for your contribution. And thanks for taking some time today to just work on yourself. That makes all of this worthwhile. And your presence in your community here also makes this worthwhile. So thank you for being just a great room. And I'm so lucky to have really amazing followers. And again, thank you for allowing me to be the channel. Okay. Sending you lots of love and light. A reminder that I will be live on Sunday. I'll be putting up a poll to vote on all of the topics later on Friday. So if you haven't already voted, you'll have a chance in the evening to do so. And I'll be live on Sunday. I'm also going to be doing a special, I was going to say Thanksgiving, a special Halloween special on the 31st. So keep an eye out for more information on that. That's always one of my favorite broadcasts of the year. It's very magical, and with the veil being thin, it's great for all of us to get together and work on manifesting, probably do something with messages from beyond as well. So stay tuned, more to come. All right, everybody, thank you so much. From my heart to yours, I wish you the best. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you for taking time with me. Lots of love from this little sleeping guy in the background, and I wish you the best, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.